The Prairie Theatre Exchange's latest production is a one-person play written about the actor and playwright's own life experiences. It's called Raised by Women, and Métis playwright Keith Barker wrote it based on his life surrounded by strong women. Joining us now is playwright and actor Keith Barker. Good morning, Keith.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. Now, you grew up in Thunder Bay and Kenora.
Yep.
So Winnipeg was big city for you. This was the place that you went to do the shopping, and it was kind of like Toronto for me, right?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your experience growing up in that community and how women were such a huge part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up mostly with my mom, my sisters, and my aunties and my cousins. Like a lot of my cousins, most of my cousins are female. And so all my experiences growing up, when I came home for Christmas from school, even because I went to school in Toronto, I was surrounded by cousins, surrounded by my mom, my sisters. And so when I was growing up, I was always guided by my mom. And you know, I have two younger sisters, I'm the oldest, but they taught me a lot. And they always called me out on things. And they were always like correcting me on the things I would do as a typical boy. And my mom was like really, she filled that space. Like she had to, like there was just no other option. She had to be the parent in my life. And
because
so,
your dad wasn't part of your life growing up. He left when you were 4, right?
Yeah, my father left my mom when he was 4. He moved back to Toronto and kind of left my mom. He didn't pay child support. He didn't help out and kind of left my mom. And I remember one point I was like, how'd you do it, Mom? She's like, hey, I was in my 20s and I had no other options. I just had to do it. And so she raised three children, like 3 kids and baby in diapers still. So,
but even in your formative years, you didn't even really stop to realize that these strong women were a huge part of who you are today. And then COVID hit.
Yep.
And then you were writing this play, and that's when you took a moment and realized, like, wow.
Yeah, I'd read this article on fatherly.com that just said 9 things every father should teach their son. And I thought, I looked at it and my mom had done them. And there's simple things like, one was like, if you're really angry, don't shut down and leave the room. Is like, talk about your feelings, talk about when you're upset. And my mom made me do that. She never let me shut down. And another one was like, a husband, like, don't just talk about your wife about how beautiful she is to your son. Also talk about how smart she is that she made our lunches, or how kind she is that she makes sure you're tucked in at night. Just other things beyond like objectifying her. And my mom always talked to me about those things, like when men would do that in spaces. My mom's like, you know, she's a really smart person. It's not just about, she's beautiful, but she's also really smart. And so I was always around women that talked like that.
So tell us about this play at PTE.
So it's a one-woman show, and it's about being raised by women and all the mistakes I made as a boy. And there's just these are stories I used to tell to friends and all that, and have a good laugh. And we're in a, you know, and this is that the play is basically storytelling. Me getting up and telling these stories I've told for years, and some really funny stories, a couple of heartbreaking ones, but like lessons I learned from it and how my mom guided me through. Because I was like, how did I become the man I am today when I was just surrounded by women my whole life? And so then I kind of get into it and look at all the funny things I did, the mistakes I made, and things my mom had to tell me, and she had to sit me down and kind of tell me the truth.
Guide you along the way.
Yeah.
Raised by Women runs at PTE from April 1st to the 13th. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. If you want to see it, there's tickets available.